Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Dirty Decibels Podcast. My name is Jeff, and this is officially the last episode of the season. We are rounding it out. It is unfortunately a little bit of a solemn occasion, but we are here. I'm joined with Liam and Squall, both members of the Old Edison, and we're on the eve of the benefit for our buddy Will Good, who was recently injured in a car accident and is on a long road to recovery. So Liam just organized a really great compilation album. It's got 32 tracks on it from artists all over Boston, covering Old Edison songs in their own beautiful way. It's a pleasure to be joined by you guys tonight.
Hey.
Hey, I didn't know this was going to be the season finale. That feels like a lot of added pressure.
Oh, I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry.
I don't know if we're going to
in.
close this out real good.
Yeah, it is a solemn occasion. I have been having a blast this time around with this like season of the podcast. It's been really fun. I started it really as a like quarantine therapy kind of thing for me, and but it's time. Things are
Podcast. I feel like a lot of podcasts started up that like over quarantine. It's just like, I need to talk to my friends. Like,
yeah, literally. And I plan to bring it back for another season when the time is right. But getting back to like some kind of normal world is taking a lot more out of me than I kind of initially expected. And so I think naturally it's sort of come to the point where it's time to give it a break for a couple months and get ready for another season to come back with more guests. But
you had like a busy summer.
Yeah. It's already shaping out to be such, and we're not even. It's not even summer yet. It's not even officially.
It's June, man. It's June. We're halfway through the year.
It feels like it.
It's fucking 90 degrees out, and it's goddamn. There's a whole bunch of teenagers at my gym. No matter what time I go, it's the fucking summer.
Hey, at least they're at the gym and they're not out getting into trouble. Those youngins.
Those youngins
staying out of trouble. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about this compilation that you just put together. It's unfucking believable. I think this city never fails to move me to tears.
No. You don't even know.
The situation is right.
So that's been like, it's funny to. All right, a lot of people have sort of like reached out to, all the work that Liam must have put in to do all this, and it really wasn't that much for me. Like, I sent a lot of people lyrics, and I sent a lot of people like chords, and a few people I had to like record a quick demo for or whatever. And like some of that was kind of hard with everything that's going on, but like compared to what 33 or 32, not counting myself, separate people all comprised of like, probably 100 people all said and done were able to pull off. I expected like a bunch of, phones with an acoustic guitar, and like there's 2 different ska songs. There's like 5 or 6 different punk versions. Everyone put in like these, like Tommy did a whole track pretty much by himself, recording every instrument and like singing like he's from like Stigma from fucking hardcore in the back of the day. I like, there's always been that thing of like Old Edison. I know people learn our songs because there's not a whole lot to them. And so like, I was like, with it, like, people probably sitting around play these songs, and like, what an easy way to let all these friends of Will Good feel a little bit less helpless. What a quick way to send him the most amount of love from the most amount of people. Like, that was so easy to do. It wasn't hard for me. People give me a little bit too much credit. Like, I just set up an email essentially and then changed a couple MP3s to WAV file.
I have to interject and just say that I really want to say, I do think there's a lot to those songs, Liam, that
musically,
you don't need a lot of chords. You don't need a lot of chords.
You can watch one of our left hands and play the song the next day. It's
sure.
You don't have to look up tabs. You don't have to ask us later that night, like, oh, what chord is this?
No, but I think I think there might be something to be said for that, making a song worth more than its weight in gold.
Completely. I feel like
versus something with fancy leads or fancy anything. And lyrically, I think we can agree that there is quite a bit to them. I just have to say, as a fan and as a friend, it's don't sell that short.
I don't mean to sell it short at all. I'm saying sort of like, and I think it's speaking to the same point of like there's just a primordialness to them. They're basic in the sense that they're universal. Like going from G to A minor to D, like that awakens something in everybody. And like that was the thing I had to learn. I taught myself how to play music. So I tried to like reinvent the wheel really until the Old Edison, where it was like, no, you just play the standard shit and sing your fucking heart out. And that's what connects with people.
Yeah. Do you do most of the songwriting? Does Will? Do you guys like share it equally? I've never actually been quite clear on.
I would say
what songs are yours or Will's, or how that really shakes out.
So Will does the majority share of it, of everything. Like, and especially to begin with, it sort of stemmed out of, holy shit, this kid can write a song, and he sings like he's a fucking rusty angel. Like he's got a voice on him. Like, wait, he's 17 years old. Look at what's coming out of this kid. Like, that's what Old Edison was born out of. But definitely once Squall joined on, and we sort of like, that was when it was 4 idiots playing 3. Once like Squall brought on, and we got a fiddle player, and we got banjo with CJ and like Rory playing banjo, like then it started turning into more of a collaborative effort. And like at our peak was when it was the best, because it was just, you would bring a verse. Squall would bring a verse, or Will would bring a verse, or I would bring a verse. And then it would just stem out to whoever else had something that maybe might work with the same chords and stuff. Like that was always my favorite thing. Like that's when we were pumping at our best, like it would be Thursday nights or Wednesday nights or whatever, and nobody would have anything written down, but somebody would start playing a couple chords, and something would click from something that made you angry earlier in the day, or a turn of phrase that you read in a book or saw on the side of the road. Like, but yeah, like I'm got covered on the comp. Our Will's songs are like almost whole cloth, straight out of him. And it's, I still maintain to this day, like he's the best songwriter, period, to me. Like, flat out. Like it's not like compared to like any, like even like Bruce Springsteen and shit. Like I still think, I think Will's up there with the best of them. Just for the line alone of, I was sent from, but the fear that I would become exactly what I'm running from. That's the best fucking line. I can't, like, that's chef's kiss left and right. I love that line. That's like Salinger-esque to me. That hits the same notes as like all the best writers.
I feel like we should have asked Kumi to join us on this episode because he was able to. He actually Kumi and I did our track together, and he put it so poetically in a way that I can't quite remember, but just that. I think he put it something like, "You guys built a cathedral out of shit you found laying around." And it's the most beautiful cathedral in the world. It was something. I probably fucked it up. It really was probably something much more poetically beautiful than that. But it was something to that effect, and it really resonated with me because
we'll have to pressure him for that one. That quote. Yeah. Put that on the back of the book.
What when abouts in the trajectory of the band Squall did you join up? Because I've never been quite clear on particulars of like the band's history and stuff like that. I feel like I came to be a fan of the Old Edison sort of late in the game a little bit, unfortunately.
So it's actually like, it's weird how it happened. So originally, one day so Liam was in the Swag and Growlers. They left to go on their first tour. Will was Will and I were staying at the house together for the summer while they were on tour.
Will took my room. Yeah.
Will fucking did the whole sublet gimmick. And then like, and I was already living on the couch, but I got to sleep in fucking Chestnut's room that summer. It was sick. But the second the Growlers left, the second they drove away, Will turns to me and goes, "Let's write a fucking song right now." And that's how Wits and Guns happened in like 20 minutes. All summer long, we're talking, and Catherine Joyce was hanging out a lot, and she started like playing fiddle along to like Wits and Guns, and we would sit there and play Old Edison songs that hadn't been like fleshed out yet or whatever, and like some of my songs. And we started talking like we were going to start this super group that was like Squallie, Catherine Joyce, and the Old Edison. And it was called the Azavrex, which is Cervezas backwards. And it was like this thing. And we just like kept talking about it. And we were like fucking spreading the word. And this is how long ago it was. We made a MySpace page. And like put up the first demo of Wits and Guns, and like one of the first demos of like Faith in My Fretboard and shit were up there. So that all happened. And then Liam gets home, and it just like goes full on back to Old Edison. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like that was fun. Like I'll sing those songs with them, like when they play them or whatever. And then they were practicing in me and Liam's basement. So like I would just go down there and hang out and fucking play around and dick around. And then one night in that basement, there was a punching bag. It didn't belong to any of us or our neighbors. It was like from fucking like, I don't know, like a million fucking people ago. But there was this punching bag there, and Will Good
comes basement 10 tenants ago.
My basement in Quincy was like exactly like that.
We had like there was so much shit in that basement. But anyway, so we had this punching bag, and fucking Will Good, shit faced, comes downstairs from going to the bathroom and just decides to just punch the punching bag, just with everything, breaks his fucking hand. The Old Edison not only had like some regular shows coming up, but I think it was the first year you guys played this Growlers St. Patrick's Day show. And Will just like turns to me, like holding his hand, and he's like, "Can you just like play guitar for me for like a couple months?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Yeah, and then we can play Wits and Guns." And like I think I had added my verse to Dead Vulture Hurricane at that point. So he's like, "Yeah, we'll play the songs."
Funny.
Play the songs we wrote together and all that shit. And then at one point, as his hand's healing, he's just like, "Hey, the whole point of the Azavrex was to get you and Catherine Joyce into the Old Edison." He's like, "That was just me like sneaking in." And he's like, "You're in the band now, just fucking whatever." And I was like, "All right, so I guess I'll start playing bass." And that's really just how it happened. Like
that's pretty much. And then the rest.
And then the rest is history.
Where did you guys all share a house together?
Alston, Lower Alston.
Lower Alston, yeah, good old Coolidge Road.
Yep.
That's cool.
We got moved the fuck out by like I think like 9 people moved into it. Was 5 bedroom, and then like when we were moving out finally, because it was like one of those things where just like one person would stay on and add 4 more roommates for like a decade probably.
Yeah.
And like they moved, they were like, "Can we move stuff in? Can we baked you cookies? They're vegan. Like we're all gonna split rooms. All of these are gonna be bedrooms."
Yeah, I mean, I was living on the couch half the time, so fucking that's what it was.
Yeah. That was how you got your foot in the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you can't be in those it's like you can't be in those spaces, not become involved, in the creative energy that's there, which is like pretty fucking rad. And the Old Edison's definitely a band that is all about energy. I feel like you couldn't just be around like that for an extended period of time and not become absorbed into it in one way or another. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is like, so the first Old Edison show, the Old Edison opened up for me, and it was like I've known Will I've known Will, Liam, and Gemma, and I think it took me a little while to get to know Rory, but I met Will, Liam, and Gemma like 18 fucking years ago at a basement show down the street from the Midway. And fucking it was Liam and Gemma's old band, they were called Revive at the time.
Revive at the time, yeah.
And
not Revive at the time, Revive.
Just Revive.
I got it.
So like I went to this basement show to see Revive, and I'm smoking a blunt out front, and this kid is running around saying, "I smell weed. Where the fuck is it? I smell weed." And I keep trying to hand it to him, and he can't find it because he's so drunk. And that was Will Good. So like, and then like when they formed the Old Edison, they were like, "Hey, we want to get on an acoustic show. Like you've been doing those, da da da." So I had them open for me, and it was just like, I hadn't seen them in a while, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm just back hanging out with my friends again. And then like, yeah, eventually, like you said, you just kind of get sucked into it. Like, that's
it was almost inevitable from that first show.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was like, I don't even know where that
it was the Abbey Lounge
show. We certainly weren't ready to play a show at that point. There was still 3 of us playing unplugged in acoustic guitars, and then one of us playing a bass with a little practicing. That is not a good sound, no matter how hard you want to fucking try and reminisce about it.
Was the story behind the name? Was it an organ? Am I correct or something? The Edison.
No, it's the power plant that poisoned half of Southie.
You're talking about the power plant.
The Edison
like
plant
between
in Southie. So like, but the thing is, like, people that don't know, like, so there's like a big pink one that's right on L Street going over the Summer Street Bridge, and they're trying to turn that one into like some mixed market meat selling farm thing nonsense, hundreds of windows piled into a cancerous fucking tower to the sky. But there was an older one just down the street that they plowed down, probably a decade ago, and that was like one that, like, growing up you would break into and be like climbing up the walls and spray painting shit and smoking cigarettes for the first time. Is it kind of
like not directly across the street, but like kind of across the street from Murphy's Law? It's like over there,
much,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that whole area, they like, they've industrialized it and turned it into condos and everything now. I'm sure it looks probably different, but yeah, that's where the name originated, because there's old, and then they got still, pumping until whenever they shut it down 10 years ago. But Old Edison as a kid was like a weird abandoned toxic waste dump. Go to ride your BMX through there and all that. And that was like a back pocket name. When they started, when the Old Edison started, I wasn't in it. It was Gemma and Rory and Will just recording songs in the living room of the house I lived in. But I was up at 4 a.m. every day, and they all worked nights. So they were just like playing around with using hand grenades. And then they like put up again a MySpace for Horseshoes and Hand Grenades that had like 6 strings on it and all these original Will Good songs that like sounded amazing. And I just was like mad that all my friends started a band in the room next to me and I wasn't in it. And like, we were probably like, I think I turned 21 that year. So like, I didn't address it. I just like got drunk and then probably tried to punch one of them about it. Just like, no, you're asleep all the time. Like, and like the first thing, and so like, of course,
our schedules don't match up, man.
But everyone else in the band will attest to it. Like the first thing I did was like, okay, but we're changing the name because I don't want to be Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. Like we're going to be the Old Edison. Because but that's like, it's weird to look back at like how important that one apartment was to all of us. Because it was just a place to live when I was 20 years old.
I feel like there's so many bands that have a living space as a central point in their saga, in their history.
Yeah.
The Bouncing Souls obviously being a huge one that like comes to mind, that like where they've written about these punk houses that they lived in and like how much of a formative effect that has on the band, and like that it has an effect on everybody like that has that kind of a story, you know, where they came together to play music, and like a lot of it had to do with the energy in a certain space. My first, you know, introduction to you guys was a show at Precinct Bar where I used to work in Somerville.
Precinct. I don't even remember playing there.
Yeah,
You played at Precinct.
Precinct doesn't exist anymore. Of course, it's called Brass Union now, or it was called Brass Union. Now it's changing names again to something else. And it doesn't have a stage anymore. But I used to work there when it did. It was like one of my first jobs out of college was actually doing sound for Unregular Radio at and like
Nice.
Dave Crespo and all them at McGann's down by the Garden. But they also booked shows over at Precinct, and so through like a bunch of mutual friends and stuff like that, I got hired over there. And when you guys played, I think it was a night probably with OC45, or it might have been with like Old Hat, or I remember there was a lot of acoustic instruments. And it wasn't only one occasion. You definitely played there a couple different times while I worked there.
Yeah, no, it's like, I remember being there. I remember they had really good hot toddies, and that's where everything disappears.
I got nothing. It's in Somerville?
Yeah,
it was in Somerville?
Union Square. Yeah. That place was that place. There were some legendary shows in there when I worked there, definitely. But I remember being like, oh man, there's all these like, you know, acoustic instruments, like that, like what is this,
shitty,
like what is this, what is this band, you know? And like, it was right around the time where I feel like I was doing a lot of, I was rediscovering a lot of like the punk world and community, like in Boston too, that I had kind of been, I felt like I was like kind of separated from for a few years, and I was like discovering a lot of bands like A Minor Revolution and OC45 and the Radicals, and I remember just being like fucking blown away. Like you guys just like got on stage and this like wall of sound came out of acoustic instruments, and like, you know, it was a moving experience, and I definitely will not ever forget that, as far as, you know, my professional memories and just memories as a fan. But yeah, it was quite a thing.
I don't mean to belittle you. Not.
I don't remember playing this show that changed your
life. Yeah. I feel real.
Sorry, bro. It wasn't the Midway. Did it even fucking matter? Like, come on.
I'm sure I remember it, but like, no, they were like, I mean, I remember one of those years, it had to have been like 2011 or something. I sat down and was like, we've played a show at least once every week this year. And like, that was like, at least it was mostly like 2 or 3 times a week. When we were like at our peak, it was definitely every weekend had a show. Maybe like a Monday or a Tuesday also had a show. It burned hot while it was burning.
Yeah.
We would get fucking called. We would get called to play a show. Like, we'd be having practice, and somebody would like text one of us and be like, hey, band just dropped off, or hey, we forgot to book a show tonight.
Yeah.
You guys want to come down and play? Like, because we were just so, I mean, one, because we were just so like fucking, you know, plug and play, whatever, or unplug and play. And also because we followed the Wu-Tang rule, where it was just like, if any amount of us is there, it's an Old Edison show.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, people could just do that and just be
it's just Capadonna and Yugon, but it's Wu-Tang, and you're fine. You're gonna love it.
It's gonna be fucking great. Like,
it was good to decide that early on. It was definitely like, it wasn't conscious. It was like out of necessity.
Yeah, absolutely out of necessity. Well, yeah, because I remember like you. Like the first few Old Edison shows, you were there, and then like you disappeared. Like, were you going to school? Like, what?
When I went on tour.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
I came back and they were like, never again.
Yeah.
And then I like immediately quit the Growlers and.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, that's right. So like, and yeah, it just became a thing. And then there was like the whole time that I was fucking crippled with sciatica. So like, that was the weirdest thing. I like,
it was when you were the ghost.
I was the ghost, and like So like I'm like stuck in bed. I can't fucking walk. And my band goes and makes it big in New Hampshire. Just fucking owning New Hampshire. Everybody fucking loves them. And like they're coming back and they're telling me all these stories. And they're like, here's the CD, this band Down to the Well. Here's fucking Yankee Cockfight. Like, check these guys out. We've been playing with them. All that shit. And then like, but like nobody like people knowing me by hearing my voice on the album and like overhearing the guys like say my name, but like not knowing who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
And then
It
like
was almost perfect as like as urban legends go.
yeah. And then like, and then my first time playing the Shaskeen, just like, I'm just the guy that's with the Old Edison. Nobody's fucking talking to me or whatever. And then like we get up on stage and I'm playing and people are just like, who's this asshole? And then like I sing and they recognize my voice. And I get off stage and people are just like, oh, hey. And I'm like, fucking, I ran. Like I went and I hid somewhere. I'm like, no, you don't know who I am. Like I should have wore a fucking mask or some shit. It was weird. It was so crazy. But that was like, but that was when things were running so hot and just like they were going everywhere and all this shit. And then like I come out and like I'm like readjusting to being around people. My band's bigger than ever. And I'm like, fuck, all right.
All without a van or any of us having licenses.
Nobody had a license. It was like, hey, could somebody drive us to fucking...
Yeah, that was your honorary. You played driver in the Old Edison. That was how we got people to. We did like a 3-day tour. That was like me, CJ, and Rory. That was in CJ's friend Jen, her convertible. And like I remember like riding through Connecticut in like it was like probably like late March. It was no time to have a convertible top down, but we're like, fuck it, we're touring with the tour now. We're touring.
Oh man.
And like, what are you doing?
I feel like it's funny too, that first show that, when I saw you guys play at Precinct, like just blew me away. And then probably sadly enough, the second most memorable show was the last show, or the Old Edison's official last show that took place at the Midway, several years later. I've never had to stand in line for a show to get into the Midway in my life. That line went all the way down fucking Washington Street. I was blown away. It was incredible. It was insane.
That was 5 years in the making, or at least 6 years in the making of just like, I mean, me and Will played the Midway during a blizzard one year on like a Monday. And it was just Jay, who owns it, Lenny, who was on the bar, and us. And like, that was one of the first times we covered Leaving in the Morning and all this other stuff. And like, Lenny came up and sang with us. And like, the Midway was a pivotal spot for us. Like one of the first times Catherine played with us was at the Midway. I remember that show. Like I remember having her outside. She's like, "Oh, I have my fiddle. I can play with you guys if you want." And we were like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah. I mean, that was always the attitude.
If you can play them, play the songs. Yeah. Come on up.
Yeah. Have whistle will travel. That was always CJ. So like pulled a tin whistle out of her purse anywhere she went.
And then like anything else, like we had, like Trainer would always come up and play tom, like playing a little bit of drums. We had fucking Craig playing sax, or anyone else who could play horns. I remember we played this festival in New Hampshire that happened like, I think 3 times across the like 6 years. We were so it was like 2 years and like 1 year built on the other, and then like it sort of stopped for a bit, and then they had another one, and so like it came about and not all of us were ready to go up, so I think it was like me and Rory were the only ones who could get there, and still we ended up playing with a upright bass, an accordion, a trumpet, a harmonica player, and a bass player, or another guitar player, just like playing leads. And so there was only 2 people who knew any of the songs, and still people were like rocking. I mean, it was like the end of the night of like an all-day outdoor festival, so you're gonna win people over if you can play in the same key no matter what. But that was like one of the most transcendent times of my life, of just like, my God, these, like, you can just like I was just playing so that the other guys could see my chord hand.
Yeah.
And trying to sing the best I could. And that was all it took. And it was like, it was so fun.
Yeah. I think there's a spirit that comes out of, performance when like people who are watching a band feel like they can participate in the show without necessarily having to know the band. And then for all of us, I mean, the community in Boston, like this pretty small, tight-knit punk rock community that revolves around the Midway and O'Brien's and Great Scott. Like when we know that we can participate in the performance as much as the band that's on stage, it brings a different level to enjoying a show that way that you're never going to get from, seeing a bigger band like that like Against Me or something. It's like some band playing the House of Blues or something. Like you're never gonna get the, you know what I mean?
Like I remember I tried out to be in Lenny Lashley's band in the basement there, and just tried to like keep up to his songs. And I was like, oh, it'll be all right. Like he just plays traditional songs. It'll be fine. No, he uses capos all over the fucking place. He's using weird seventh chords and all this nonsense. I was trying to play a mandolin. I barely have a grasp of that fucking instrument to begin with. It was embarrassing, but I got a bunch of free beer to like play songs with Lenny Lashley. That's cool. Like
that's literally the story of the Old Edison at the Midway is free beer for playing songs with Lenny Lashley. Like, it's like when Seamus got us the Gansett sponsorship, it was all fucking over. And
that was like that was the album release of Story Yelling.
Yeah. And
he just went to the Gansett rep and was like, this is the most amount of Gansets I've ever sold in a single night. We sold out of like 9.5 cases before the night was over. Like people had to move on to other things besides Gansett, but it was like, that was everybody's go-to.
Yeah.
I wish we started the like trophy length thing of like throw Gansets at us. That would have been fun to like.
I'm glad you didn't.
I mean,
my guitar wouldn't have made it any like it's barely there as it is. She got beat up the whole time, but the first tour we went on, we bought like this shitty old van for like $700, and we booked a tour that was like 8 days, like 8 dates down to like New Jersey and back, and we booked it like across like Connecticut, and we'll do New Hampshire coming back and all that, and the Gansett sponsorship essentially ended up to like, okay, just like as many cases you can fit in your van, you can bring that with you on tour. Like, so we would just like, I remember, and then that tour turned into, there was a hurricane that hit the Northeast. So like the last 4 dates of the tour got canceled. And for like 3 days, we were just flooded into somebody's house in Connecticut. And we would just like, for whatever reason, we didn't want to share those Gansets. So we would drink all the warm Gansets in the van and then go back into the house and be like, oh, do you have any beer? Like, why don't you drink your whiskey? We weren't dirtbags, though. I promise.
No. The thing about us is that we were dirtbags. We've always been very charming dirtbags, and like nobody's ever fucking mad about it. And like,
we're not gonna rip you off. We're gonna get you to give it to us.
Yeah,
you're the kindest kind of dirtbags anyone could ever have the joy of hanging out with. Was that dude Pete? Was that the sales rep from Gansett, Pete? Whatever his name is, Pete. I forget what his last name is.
No, we ran to the game. This was when Zach was the Gansett rep then. He reps Notch out of Salem now, in my hometown.
Oh, nice. I was thinking of that dude Pete. I've met him a couple of times. He managed
Tiger Man.
Tiger Man Move. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
He got us like so. Okay. The first show we ever played with them, he got us on that. I think it was that was at church, and it was a benefit for the marathon bombing, which God.
Long time ago.
I don't even know how long ago that was. But that was when we met Pete.
2013.
That was when we met Pete, and that was when we met Tiger Man. And like, I remember that show because like we didn't know anyone else on the bill. And so we just joined. It was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't know how he got our name or whatever, but we were like, yeah, we'll play a benefit, whatever. We'll be there if it's 2 of us or 3 of us or 10 of us. And I remember being like, Tiger Man, whoa, that's such a shitty fucking name. I hate that name.
They're such a fucking good band, though. Oh,
and
my
then they
God.
get up there and they start blowing me the fuck away. And then I was like, all right, we're best friends forever now. And like, that's exactly how it was. Like, immediately after that, I was like, let's play 100 shows together. Let's go smoke joints out by the van together. Let's, we're sharing beers. What are we doing here? And like, that was the one of my favorite renditions on the compilation is definitely the Tiger Man Woe version of And Start West. When they reached out and said they wanted to do that, I was like, of course you want to do that, and of course that's going to sound amazing. That's going to be the best fucking thing in the world. Like, love those guys, love Pete, love all of them.
Yeah. Well, we should talk a little bit about this comp. This comp is just so goddamn impressive, and I think when anything happens, as I said in the beginning of the show, anything happens that there's like some type of adversity in this community, or someone needs support, needs help. Like, I'm always just so blown away by how everybody steps the fuck up. And the pandemic included, perfect example of like all the shit that's been going on over this past year, and
all the records Squall released all last year, 97 songs.
Absolutely, man. We did our episode, and I don't think there's anybody that I know that's put out as much, like, released as much music as Squall has over this past year. But everyone has, everyone just steps the fuck up in the most goddamn beautiful way. And when it's through music, it's like, what could be better? This comp is just fucking insane.
It's wild. It's really, I even it exceeded all of my wildest dreams of what could actually be accomplished. So I started with the Night Blinders because Miketon literally got me the demo for that like within 24 hours, and he had like programmed the drums himself and programmed the horns and all this, and like eventually he got live. But here's the thought I have for it. And like sent me that he sent it with the file name Scar PM, and I was like, it's going on that way. You're putting horns on it, and I'm gonna name it Scar PM because that's the funniest thing I've ever fucking heard. And like, and then from there, like I was trying to say earlier, like it really wasn't even all that much work. I didn't have to hound anyone. Like there was right at the beginning, I got really overwhelmed with just like trying to remember all the words and with everything in mind of what's going on. But it was also very cathartic, and I already said, like, I think Will's my favorite songwriter in the world, but like going over it that way, people were like pointing out things that like I was singing wrong the whole time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then it's like more poetic by their interpretation. And I was like, oh shit. And then so many people put such interesting turns on it at just like the drop of a hat. Like there's a spoken word And Start West that Bobby from the Gunks did, and like that was just because like nobody else could learn the song in time or whatever, so he like sat down and just recorded it like he was an old-time radio show, and I think that's amazing. And then like Liz from Candy Apple Red, who like always booked us in New York, she put us on shows with
She's so rad.
Beans on Toast. She put us on shows. Often, all the best shows in New York we ever played was with Liz.
Yeah.
And the whole time she's like, you're not going to want to hear it. My voice is terrible. I hate it. Blah, 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 blah. And she records Last Dance. And it's like one of my favorite fucking ones on the one. And it's the one everybody's reaching out to me about because it sounds so fucking good. And it's so cute. And she got somebody to back her up, and she got all these other musicians to play with her. And like my favorite part about that is there's a too soon she does right at the end. And like, just sends it home. So like, it was definitely work to put it all together, and it's emotional work to sort of listen to it all. I won't lie. Every time I listen to Junior's rendition of And Start West, I cry. It's just the most. I had to put it at the end. That sounds like a song that was written in 1803 when he sings it. Like,
it's a testament, man. It really is. It's
like everybody, every person came to the table with just gold. Like they just, here's what it is. Here's how much I love the Old Edison. Here's how much I love Wilgert. Here's how much I love you guys. This is what I can give you. And like, after the whole year, after everything, after not seeing friends, after it, like, there's not adequate words to describe how much all of it fills my heart. And like, I got the chance to visit Wilgood, and I could tell he felt the same way. Like it just hits it when you hear other people play your song that you wrote, it solidifies a little bit more than like just when people are like, oh, I love you guys. I love your song. Like when it's somebody took the time to learn it and play it really fucking well, or change it, or this is the way I hear it and I want to add this to it. And then like, oh, this is what it makes me think of. That turns into this whole different thing. And like, I just hope, all I've ever hoped for is like, all of this is more positivity and love for us to grow from. And like, this was pretty easy to pull off for me. This, like, we can do this kind of stuff. People you go record your albums, guys. Go.
Yeah.
Like make like if you can do one song like this because you love Wilgood and you love the Old Edison, you want to do us justice here. Everybody who's involved in this nailed it. I'm blown away that like, you know, I had to learn. I'm not good at recording and all that stuff. I had to learn all that stuff and like try to do my best with it. But like, it came together for everyone else. No, everybody sounds great. Everybody did wonderful. Like, please keep creating because of this. I hope this like stirs people on to be just like loving and outpouring it, like just a catalyst for like, yes, whatever you can do, just do it. Just get it done. Like, done is better than perfect for me.
When we did Squall's episode, like we chatted a little bit about how people writing and recording music throughout the pandemic and having that time to focus on it has had, I think, a really positive spin on people have learned a fuck ton. They've taught themselves a fuck ton. I've taught myself a fuck ton. Like, even, you know, I worked before the pandemic as a sound guy, but I spent the last 10 years not really focusing on writing or recording or performing music. And, you know, I've watched my brother and Jameson and everybody that we're friends with, like, start to get into recording and like learning about mics and learning about how to program instruments and like record MIDI stuff. Like I like Kumi showed me a bunch of like VST instruments and MIDI stuff that we did for our track. Like, I think it's
that's what it was. I thought you guys were all like live instruments.
It was both. It was both. But, like, but that's the thing, is like, I had a fucking blast. Like, I went to Music Go Round in Natick and I bought a used like old shitty Yamaha like keyboard with a USB plug on it, and like just started fucking around for the first time in my life. I've never done that shit, you know? And
yes,
and
we were talking about. Like, Yamaha is amazing. I love Yamaha.
Squall,
everything.
I have a Yamaha fucking guitar. I just bought it. It's so dope.
Squall and I were talking about when we did his episode, but about that too, just about how much everyone has kind of had a chance to like learn shit this year and get more like amped up and pumped up on like making and creating and using like all these tools and
just
stuff like that.
Do it.
Yeah.
You'll get better as you do it. Like, just learn. Like, I had such a hang up on this. I mean, Squall will fucking yell at me right now about how I haven't released a fucking record or anything like that.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Liam's sitting here right now talking like me. Like, this is how I talk to Liam. Everything he's saying right now, this is what I say to him all the time. I'm like, just fucking do it. Like, you have the ideas. Like, I know you recorded a fucking mixtape when like over a weekend and you refused to release it or admit that it happened, but I know about it. Like, all this shit. And then and calling you
it's
out.
On SoundCloud.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
on
right.
there.
He did put that. That's true. But it's like, but that, I mean, that's really just all it is. You gotta like, and that's like, I mean, so like for forever and for eternity, the Old Edison is going to be the most important thing I've ever been a part of. And it's like anything I've done outside of it has like pretty much like was always just like a curiosity thing and just like a fucking need to just like if I'm into something, I need to learn how to fucking do it. So like, you know, started getting like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, so we're like hood folk, we're like a folk band, but like hip hop, but not like hip hop folk. Like we're not like rap metal, but folk. But like,
no.
what if I made actual hip hop and that just like started expanding? And but the thing with me is I've always put my like rough drafts and my like learning out there. Like they like every like everything like the first thing I released in like a series of things, like when I first started putting out mixtapes and like the first fucking like record I did during the pandemic, I go back and listen to that now and I'm like, that's horrible. I can't believe I let people hear me do that. But like, it was a necessity for me to.
It's so underproduced.
Yeah. Like, oh, like, did I even mix this? Like, what the fuck? And then like, I just, but it's just, yeah, like every fucking thing I learn, I just put it out there, and there's like no fucking reason for people to not do that.
Yeah.
And like, it's fine. Like nobody cares. And when they do care, they're going to care when it's like, you're doing something amazing. So, and yeah, the compilation is fucking amazing. Everything on it. And like, you know, like I said, I am aware that the Old Edison is the most important thing I've ever been a part of. And, you know, ever since I was in the band, like it's what gets brought up the most. And like Liam said, everybody's like, oh, we love you guys, da da da. But like actually hearing the impact that we've had in like with all those covers and like, and also like Liam said, the little things that like maybe they got wrong, maybe Liam and I got wrong this whole time, and Will gets sitting in his bed like, oh no, this is how it actually is supposed to go. It you know, it changes things and it makes everything like you said, even more poetic. Which is weird because
I hope people get their favorite versions from like. I hope people like these like versions better than ours.
Fuck everything. Like I went back to listen to our records to practice for the show Sunday, and I'm like, we are garbage.
This is trash.
I'm gonna practice to the fucking benefit comp now. Like, why do we play Wits and Guns so fucking slow? This is clearly a fucking pop punk song.
God, we're just like clearly a.
We just drank a bunch of fucking codeine before we wrote it or some shit. I don't know, like why it's so slow.
They slayed that. That was a great. That was
absolutely
great.
Killed it. Absolutely. And like Mike Barone hit me up like the night before they recorded, and he's like, "Hey, gotta get my fucking Squallie on tomorrow." I'm like, "Smoke some weed, dude," and just fucking.
You'll get there.
It was incredible. And that's the thing, like everything is incredible. Like I do have my favorites. I don't want to point them out here because I don't want to give anybody a fucking complex or an ego trip. But like just
there's not anything that's bad.
Nothing's bad. And like I fucking like Liam puts it out a day early and I'm just sitting there. I was like just about to cook dinner, and then I see that he fucking did it, and I just go to my fridge and I grab a 6-pack of Gansett and I sit on my porch with my fucking cigarettes and I just chain smoke for like, what is it? The thing's like 2.5 hours fucking long.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just sit there and drink and smoke and fucking cry for 2.5 hours. And that's exactly what the show on Sunday is gonna be like. So make sure you come out for that.
Come out and see 4 grown men cry.
See 50 or so more grown men cry. Is it more like what's gonna happen? You can be guaranteed of that. There's gonna be a lot of tears in that room tomorrow.
For a lot of reasons, I think.
For a lot of reasons,
for so many.
it's a lot, but it's gonna be great. I can't think of anything that's a better testimony to what you've created and who you've been as a band than to have so many people recreate your music, in their own way. It's so amazing to me, and of course we wish we didn't, like, it didn't have to be for this reason, but to know that there's so many people out there that you've had an effect on as a band, in that way is something just so incredible that I think is really special.
Nobody wants to have to do this, but what an amazing conduit to send directly to him. Like, that's like I was trying to say earlier, it's like, it's 33 tracks. That amounts to, like, if it's 3 or 4 people per track, you're getting 100-something people who are just like, hey man, I fucking love you and I hope you're okay. And like, when stuff like this kind of happens, when it's just fucking the accidents of life, when it's just nonsense, that it's easy to just get knocked, like you have no control over it. But like, these songs for me have always been a way to have some control over those fucking moments. These are the songs that we sing in order to gain our strength when we're at our lowest points. And like, what an amazing way to just easily send that right back to the kid who wrote him. Like, it's so hard to try and put into words about like how you feel the love coming out of your headphones. You feel the love coming out of every one of these songs. Nobody half-assed it. Nobody's like phoning it in. It's not a claim to anything. It's just, here's music. Music is what brought us all together. Here are these songs that have meant so much to all of us to remind us why we're all friends, why we all know each other, why we all are connected. And for me, it was really important to bring that together, to make sure that was told to Will. I sort of took on a role of controlling the old, or leading the Old Edison. I would book a lot of it. I would try and get the rides or whatever, but I was never the creative force behind it. It was always, I love these kids' fucking songs. If I can play guitar next to him and sing a third of the words next to him, I'm happy. And so it's a really great celebration of those words and those songs from a whole lot of point of views. And like, there's all crazy interpretations. I can't, like, some of the like drum track song, like Squall's Danny Boy is insane. I would never take that song in that direction. That's so crazy. And then like a Danny Boy of Funeral Dirge, and like, it's it was crazy to put together. And like, I'm really glad it will always exist. It'll still stay there for people to listen to later. It'll if people want to keep buying it, I'm still going to keep spending the money on Will Good. We're getting him an iPad and stuff over there, and like trying to set it up so it's as easy for him as possible to, stay in touch with people, and always be something you can go back to like, that's my favorite part, is like, I'm not going to go back and listen to Story Yelling. I recorded that. I played those songs 100 times. I heard that recording. I had to listen to it 50 times over the weekend to approve the masters or whatever. But I can listen to somebody else cover these songs and play it twice as fast as a punk song, or like, play it as like a cute little acoustic ditty song. And like, that's amazing to me. I don't know. I can't. I ran out of words for that one, but it really means a lot to me. Everybody who put in work to this.
Of course, dude.
I can never fully thank everyone for how well they did. Like, I'm choked up now. It's
Yeah.
it means the world to me. And
It's
yeah, I don't know.
it's
I guess I'm thank you. Thank you.
It's a conduit to put out and send to him, as you said, and it's also a conduit to put something out into the universe, like to put this energy just out there into the universe in such a special way, that this band had such a stamp and such a mark on this scene, on this city, on this community, far and wide, and that's a legacy.
It's positivity. It's a lot of love, and it's just a bunch of friends playing hood folk songs.
If you're around, if you're available tomorrow, Sunday the 13th at 3 p.m. at the Midway Cafe, there's going to be a benefit show for Will. Some of the folks that played on the compilation are going to perform, and many more are going to be there in the room. It's going to be Jim Heron, Mike and the Nightblinders, Chris Jackson's going to play solo, CEC Edmore, and the Damn Fine Band are going to play, and you guys are going to play as well, and we're going to have
it'll be a lot
most of the Old Edison there. Yes.
Yeah.
The Old Edison and friends. So if you can come out and spare a few dollars to contribute to Will's recovery, it would be great, and it's gonna be a time. So
I got something to say on that. If people can come out, I spent the past year making a list of everybody who has been like, I miss shows, I miss the Midway, I miss the Old Edison. I have a list.
Oh, of course you do.
He does.
I don't see all of you there.
That's something he does.
If you don't come through and give your $10 to Will Good to come to a show at the Midway where the Old Edison will be playing, we're done. I'm unfriending you, unfollowing you. I'm gonna go in your house. I'm gonna break all your little fucking porcelain figures and shit. Like it's over. It's over.
That was a Macho Man version of like, I'm gonna
come on in there.
I'm gonna snap you like a Slim Jim.
And I know every single one of you has little porcelain figures somewhere, and I'm gonna find them and I'm gonna break them. If there's a tchotchke in your house, I'm gonna fucking break it.
It's all over.
If it's Gilbert, I don't care if it's Garfield, I'm coming to you and I'm smashing the porcelain figures. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I can't think of a more honorable way from my perspective to round out this season of the podcast. So thank you guys for doing this.
Bunch of idiots. Around a savage
cutting fucking wrestling promos to get people to go to shows. It worked for the Radicals last show. It'll work for this one, brother.
I mean, of course,
you come out, I'll find you and breathe on you.
To get to discuss the legacy of the Old Edison is what I meant. But I am honored to have you guys on the show, and I am honored to be able to contribute to Will's recovery and to this effort in any way that I can. So thank you guys for coming on the show and talking about this institution of a band, and giving us some
power
great reminiscing and some really great stories. It means a lot to me too. So thank you.
Hey,
it's been a pleasure,
for having
man.
us, buddy.
Love you, Jeff.
Alrighty, have a great night, guys.
Later, buddy.